Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Math and Silly Hats, this time in Streamlabs. Today we're going to be going over the negative exponent law. Let's get into it. Here. It's over there. Let's do that. Whenever we have an exponent taken to the negative power, we're going to change its place in a fraction and make that exponent positive. This is relatively simple in practice. Let's say we have 1 over 2x to the negative 2. So we can see we have a negative exponent. Now what the negative exponent law says is that whenever we see that negative exponent, we're going to take that factor, put it in the other part of the fraction. So if it was in the denominator like here, it goes to the numerator, and then it becomes positive. So I'm just going to cut this, put it in the numerator, and make it positive. So you can see that that factor of x to the negative 2 moved to the numerator and became x to the positive 2. Let's do an easy example of this with a little bit more complexity. Say we have a coefficient 3 to the negative 1 x to the 2 over 3x to the negative 1. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify my negative exponents. I've got a negative exponent here, got a negative exponent here. If it helps, we can put a 3 to the first power here since we didn't have an exponent on that 3. So these both need to move. The 3 to the negative 1 is going to go to the denominator. The x to the negative 1 is going to go to the numerator. So we're going to take this from the numerator, put it in the denominator, make it positive. If I'd like to, I can represent those both as 3 to the first power. Then that x to the negative 1 is going to move from the denominator to the numerator and become positive. Now I need my product law to say that whenever I multiply two exponents, I have the same base to the sum of their exponents. So here x to the 2 plus 1 is x to the 3, 3 to the 1 plus 1 is 3 to the 2, or simply 9. Alright, let's do a slightly more difficult problem. This will involve multiple variables. 2x to the negative 3y squared over 2 to the negative 3x squared y to the negative 3. Again, the first thing I'm going to do is identify all of my negative exponents. So here I have x to the negative 3, 2 to the negative 3, and y to the negative 3. So those all need to move places in the fraction. So the y's are going to come up top, the x's are going to move down low, and the 2's are going to move up top as well. If it's not obvious, this 2 is to the first power, so we'll be adding these exponents. If I move my 2's to the numerator, make them positive, make clear that that's multiplication. Move my x's to the denominator, make them positive. Move my y's to the numerator, make them positive. Alright, I'm just going to use my product rule to simplify. 2 times 2 to the third, or 2 to the first, times 2 to the third will be 2 to the 1 plus 3, or 2 to the fourth, which we can simplify as 2, 4, 8, 16. Y to the 2 times y to the 3 is going to be y to the 2 plus 3, or y to the fifth. X to the 2 times x to the 3 is going to be x to the 2 plus 3, or x to the fifth. And we've simplified our solution. Let's do one more difficult one. My difficult problem, I'm going to be multiplying two fractions. X to the 2, y to the negative 4, z divided by 2 to the negative 2, x, z to the negative 3, times x squared y to the negative 4th over 2z to the 4. This looks more complicated than it really is. Again, first step, we're just going to identify all the negative exponents that need moved. We'll simplify from there. See all these negative exponents over here. This is the only negative exponent here. So these will move to the numerator, denominator, numerator, denominator. Negative exponent law says we can make those negative exponents positive by just moving where they are in the fraction. So my y to the negative 4 is going to go to the denominator and become positive. My 2 to the negative 2 is going to come to the numerator and become positive. And my z to the negative 3 is going to move to the numerator and become positive. Clarified that that was z to the first power. On the right, my y to the negative 4 is going to move to the denominator and become positive. Alright, let's use the product property and just combine things that we can. So these fractions are multiplying. We multiply fractions, we just multiply across their numerators. So this numerator will get multiplied by this numerator. This denominator will get multiplied by this denominator. Let's see what we can combine. Got z's here Z to the 1 and Z to the 3 will be Z to the 1 plus 3. Got x's and x's, so x to the 2 times x to the 2 will be x to the 2 plus 2. In the denominator, I've got some y's here. I've got y to the 4 and y to the 4. It'll be y to the 4 plus 4. And I've got a 2 that I would like to move up front. Y to the 4 plus 4 is y to the 8. X to the 2 plus 2 is x to the 4th. Z to the 1 plus 3 is z to the 4th. Finally, let's simplify by using the quotient property. 2 to the 2 divided by 2 to the 1st is going to be 2 to the 2 minus 1. X to the 4 divided by x to the 1st is going to be x to the 4 minus 1. I don't have any y's in my numerator, but I do have z's in both the numerator and denominator. And there's 4 in the numerator and in the denominator, so we can cancel all of our z's. 2 to the 2 minus 1 is 2 to the 1, or just 2. X to the 4 minus 1 is x to the 3. So all that mess simplified as just 2x to the 3, y to the 8. Hopefully this has been helpful and you can now deal with negative exponents on your own. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye!